Hello all, I'm Marin. Welcome to another reading vlog. In 2026, I have set myself a goal to read all of the backlist books from the Literally Dead book club. Now, this is a book club that is hosted by Kayla at Books and Lala, and we read horror, mystery, and thriller books 10 out of 12 months of the year. The book club has been running since 2020. I started reading the picks in about mid-2021, which means I currently have 11 picks that I need to read to complete all of the Literally Dead book club picks, not counting the new ones in 2026. So you are looking at a graphic that has all of the books that I still need to read in order to have completed the entire backlist of the Literally Dead book club, and these are the 3 books that I'm going to be reading in this vlog. So I'm going to be starting with The Other People by C.J. Tudor, which was the very first pick for the Literally Dead book club. So I'm going to read you the synopsis and then we're going to get reading. Driving home one night, stuck behind a rusty old car, Gabe sees a little girl's face appear in the rear window. She mouths one word, Daddy. It's his 5-year-old daughter, Izzy. He never sees her again. 3 years later, Gabe spends his days and nights traveling up and down the motorway, searching for the car that took his daughter, refusing to give up hope, even though most people believe that Izzy is dead. Fran and her daughter Alice also put in a lot of miles on the motorway, not searching, but running, trying to keep one step ahead of the people who want to hurt them, because Fran knows the truth. She knows what really happened to Gabe's daughter. Then the car that Gabe saw driving away that night is found in a lake with a body inside, and Gabe is forced to confront events not just from the night his daughter disappeared, but from far deeper in his past. His search leads him to a group called The Other People. If you have lost a loved one, the other people want to help because they know what loss is like. They know what pain is like. They know what death is like. There's just one problem. They want other people to know it too. So there you go. That's the summary. I will be listening to this one on audio because I was able to get it through Libby. So without further ado, let's get reading. All right, all. I have finished The Other People. It was actually a really quick read, and while I have some quibbles about some aspects of the book, overall I did really enjoy it, and I'm going to go ahead and give it 4 stars. My issues with the book can be summed up in 2 points. 1, I didn't love the supernatural element that was present in the book, and I don't feel like it was explained or expanded on enough to really sell it to the reader. And then 2, there is a lot of really shoddy police work in this book. So we are following Gabe. His daughter was abducted, and he is the only one that believes that she was abducted rather than killed. And there are a lot of ways that the police could go about proving that this was his daughter, and they did not do any of them. So you really have to suspend your sense of disbelief a bit with that, and just knowing some basic information about forensics. And if you watch any shows like Forensic Files or CSI or anything like that, you know what the usual steps are for police to go through the steps of solving a crime, and it's like none of that happened in this book. So my biggest quibble would just be the really bad police work and the fact that we're just supposed to accept that none of these steps were done, because had they done these steps, the book couldn't exist. So there's a reason that she had the police work be so bad, but it just doesn't work for me, because that's not how it would really go. Okay, so that's my biggest complaint. However, this book is extremely readable. It is very engaging. It pulls you in right from the beginning, and there are enough twists and turns to keep you involved in the story and thinking about what might be going on. I also liked the writing style. I definitely felt like it had a nice sense of tension. You are very on edge through pretty much the entire book. So I really liked the writing style. I just didn't necessarily like some of the choices she made with the narrative. However, the book, the audiobook I should say, is narrated by Richard Armitage, who has a fantastic voice. I have now listened to 2 books that are narrated by him, and really, really enjoyed his narration. He did a great job of bringing Gabe to life, and I really liked the audiobook, so would highly recommend that. Obviously, that is a point in its favor because he just is a great narration choice, so loved that. But yes, overall, I did really enjoy the book. Giving it 4 stars. Just know that there are things that are not explained really fully, and also you have to suspend your sense of disbelief. Sometimes a bit too much, but regardless, I really, really liked this one. So this was a great way to kick off this vlog. The next one that I'm going to be reading, I don't think has as good of ratings as the other people, but that is going to be Platform 7 by Louise Doughty. I'm going to go ahead and pull the synopsis up so I can go ahead and read it with us, and then I'm going to get listening to this one today. Now, I do think that this one has like been adapted into like a TV series or something, and so was the other people. So it's interesting that both of these have been adapted. But anyway, Platform 7 at 4 a.m. Peterborough Railway Station is deserted. The man crossing the covered walkway on this freezing November morning is confident he's alone. As he sits on the metal bench at the far end of the platform, it is clear his choice is strategic. He's as far away from the night staff as he can get. What the man doesn't realize is that he has company. Lisa Evans knows what he has decided. She knows what he is about to do as she tries and fails to stop him walking to the platform edge. 2 deaths on Platform 7, 2 fatalities in 18 months. Surely they're connected? No one is more desperate to understand what connects them than Lisa Evans herself. After all, she was the first of the 2 to die. So that is the summary. This one has a 3.54 rating, so it's not terrible, but it's a little bit lower than I would expect it to be just based on the synopsis. So we'll see. The synopsis sounds very, very interesting. We are obviously getting narrated by a ghost, Lisa. So I will be very curious to see what I think about this one. Now, looking at Kayla's rating, she only gave this one 2 stars. So we will see what I think about it. But yes, this will be the next book in this vlog. I am hoping that I can get a decent amount of it listened to today while I am at work. And I will do my best to do a mid-book update. I didn't do that with the other people, so hopefully I can do a little bit better with the updating on Platform 7. But without further ado, let's get reading. All right, all. I have actually finished Platform 7, and I am giving this one 3 stars. I feel like this book was a bit mismarketed because I don't think that it really is a thriller or even a mystery. It's more of character growth and just one person's story. So when we first meet Lisa, she has lost her memory of her life prior to her death. She is a ghost. I think I mentioned that in the synopsis. And as the book goes on, pretty early on, she regains her memories. And she is then just recounting her life and what led to her death. There is an abusive relationship, so keep that in mind if that's something you're sensitive to. Her boyfriend, Maddie, is very emotionally manipulative towards her, and that is kind of really what the story's about. Lisa coming to terms with who Maddie was and what it ultimately led to, I guess, would be a good way of putting it. So I don't think that this was particularly engaging, if I'm being honest. I found my mind wandering a bit throughout the audiobook, and I don't know that reading it physically would have gone any better. I probably would have gotten a bit bogged down because I did feel like some things were pretty repetitive, and yeah, it just wasn't completely engaging or engrossing. So I'm giving it 3 stars, as I already mentioned. I think it was fine. There is a TV adaptation, as I mentioned, and I don't have access to it. I think it's on Apple TV. I don't have Apple TV, and it is not available on Prime in the US, so I can't watch it myself. I have heard that the ending of that one is slightly different than the book, so just something you can check out if you're interested. But yeah, I think this one suffered from being mislabeled in terms of its genres, and I think the synopsis was trying to make it sound a bit more mysterious than it actually was. That being said, the writing had a nice vibe to it. You definitely felt that creeping sense of unease anytime Maddie would interact with Lisa. And it's definitely a good look at what an abusive relationship can look like. So I thought that part was well done. I just didn't think particularly that the mystery slash thriller elements were really there. So I guess that's my thought on it. So it was fine, but it's not something I'm going to be thinking about past this week of reading, if I'm being honest. So that one is now done, which means it is time to head into my final book of the vlog, which is You Are Not Alone. This is by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen, and I know they don't write together anymore, but they had a number of books that they wrote together. I have The Wife Between Us, I think, on my Kindle. I've heard good things about that one. I've heard good things about this author duo just in general. So this one, I'm going to go ahead and read the synopsis for, and then we're going to get reading. So this one says, you probably know someone like Shay Miller. She wants to find love, but it eludes her. She wants to be fulfilled, but her job is a dead end. She wants to belong, but her life is becoming increasingly isolated. You probably don't know anyone like the Moore sisters. They have an unbreakable circle of friends. They live a life of glamour and perfection. They always get what they desire. Shay thinks she wants their life, but what they really want is hers. So it's called a wildly compelling psychological thriller by Newsweek. So we'll see what I think. This will be my first experience with this author duo, but I do know that the book has multiple POVs, just glancing through. So like we have Cassandra and Jane, who are the sisters, and then Shay, and then there are a few other POVs as well. So there's one here, Amanda, and then I think, yeah, I was flipping through, there's another one that's Valerie, it looks like. There you go. This is divided into 3 parts. So yeah, I will try to do a better job of giving you a halfway through update on this. So hopefully I can get a good chunk of this read today so that I can finish this off before the end of the week. So without further ado, let me get reading. All right, I wanted to do an actual midway through update on You Are Not Alone. I am basically right at the halfway point. And this book, I think, is another one that has a misleading synopsis. Not the genre, because this is definitely a thriller, but the synopsis does not actually cover what this book's about. And obviously with thrillers, you don't want to give too much away, but this is just very misleading in my opinion. So we are following Shay. Shay witnesses something that kind of puts her into a bit of a spiral, and as a result of her being in the wrong place at the wrong time, basically, she has come to the attention of Cassandra and Jane, who are the sisters that were mentioned in the synopsis. And it's very obvious from their chapters that they are hiding a secret, that they are afraid Shay now knows, because Shay came into contact with one of the girls that used to be in Cassandra and Jane's circle of friends. So that's basically, I guess, a non-spoilery way of explaining things without giving too much away. And it is also very obvious from their chapters that they are manipulating Shay. And Shay is just too enamored with having friends, and that she is missing all of the red flags, basically. So it's very obvious as a reader that there is a lot more going on here than Shay herself is privy to, because we are getting those other POV chapters. And I like the vibes of the writing quite a bit. It's definitely edge of your seat because you are waiting for the other shoe to drop, basically. But it's also a little irritating that Shay is being as blind as she is to what's actually going on. So I guess that's my kind of initial thought. So I'm on chapter 39 right now, and it's another Cassandra and Jane chapter. So at this point though, we have definitely already seen that Shay is being set up for something. So when the synopsis says Shay thinks she wants their life, but what they really want is hers, I guess sort of that is factual, but not in the way that the synopsis is making you think it is, if that makes sense. I'm trying to be really vague here without giving away spoilers. But I would say, so I just caught on the back, it says suspenseful. Yes, the writing is very suspenseful. I would not say that anything's been particularly shocking as of yet at the midway point, but it is very obvious that Cassandra and Jane are very devious, and they have their own end goal in mind that Shay is not privy to. So that's what I'll say right now. I'm enjoying the writing. I do think the audiobook is well narrated because I am listening to this on audio, and I'm going to hopefully be able to finish it today and give you full thoughts then. But yeah, so far it's fine. I don't think it's anything spectacular at this point. And again, I'm just feeling a little bit of irritation with Shay as a character right now. So that's kind of my thoughts on this, but I am hoping I can finish this off today, and then we'll close out this vlog. But I didn't mention, I did mention, I said I thought that the first two books I read in this vlog were both had like TV adaptations. That's not true. The Other People has been optioned for like a movie or TV show, but does not actually have one. Platform 7, as I already mentioned, does have an adaptation that I don't have access to. So wanted to clear that up because I did mention that they were both already adapted, which is not the case. Now, the author of The Other People has done a show based on one of her books, but that book in particular has not yet been adapted. So anyway, there you go. Just wanted to clear that up. But yes, this one's going fine so far. It's an easy enough read, but again, I don't think it's anything spectacular at this point. So we'll see. The ending could change my mind, but right now this is very kind of middle of the road, I would say. So anyway, that's the update. I'll see you when I finish it. All right, all, I have finished You Are Not Alone, and I'm giving this one 3 stars as well. I think my biggest issue with this book was just my frustration with Shay as a character, and I did kind of feel like parts of this got a bit repetitive. So it felt like I was reading like the same thing over and over again. Even if it wasn't exactly the same words, it was basically just the same ideas like over and over. So I found it a bit repetitive. I also just found myself kind of not listening as intently as I have with other thrillers. So I found my attention kind of lagging a bit with this because I would start thinking about other things and then realize that I'd missed like a portion of the book. But I don't think that hurt the overall reading experience. There were some twists that came out at the end, and I did enjoy those and how they added to the story a little bit. But overall, I just felt like this was an average run-of-the-mill thriller, and it just wasn't perfect. So there were just things about it that I felt like could have been done a little bit better. But that being said, this was my first foray into this author duo, and I know they don't write together anymore, but I would be curious to read other books by them. As I've already mentioned, I have The Wife Between Us, so I'll probably read that at some point. It's on my Kindle, and then I can kind of get a better idea of if their books are for me or not. This one, as I said, I just felt like was very middle of the road. So I'm giving it a middle of the road rating, 3 stars. As I said, there were parts that I enjoyed, but there were also things that I didn't necessarily like. And I don't feel like some of the stuff on the back is actually accurate. So fiendishly smart, no. Buzzy, plot twists abound, Not really. Jaw-dropping, unforgettable, shocking. No, I'm definitely not going to be thinking about this like past this vlog. So not my favorite thriller, not the worst thing I've read. It was good enough to finish it. The audio definitely helped, but overall I just felt like there was something a little bit lacking with this story to make it truly stand out and shine. So I guess that's kind of my thoughts on this. So this one is done. That means from this vlog I had 1 4-star and 2 3 stars. So what I'm going to do now is put a little graphic on the screen. I'm going to put all of the books that I have read already for the Literally Dead Book Club into like a tier ranking. My tier ranking is solely just rating. So 5, 4, 3, 2, and then DNF because I don't give 1 stars. So you're looking at what that looks like with all of the picks that I have read up to this point, not including this vlog. And now we're going to go ahead and slot these books in as well so you can kind of see where everything stands. I am very curious to see how the rest of the books that I have not yet read kind of fit into this, because I definitely have some that I'm really looking forward to and some that I have seen have pretty low ratings, so I'm not as excited about them, but we will see how things go. But yes, that's gonna do it for this Literally Dead Book Club vlog. 3 books down, several more to go, but yes, so can't complain too much. Hope you enjoyed coming along with me. If you did, please leave me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel if you would like to see more from me. If you made it to the end of the video and would like to leave an emoji to show you were here, you can leave a skull and crossbones emoji because I feel like that best personifies the literally dead idea. So that's it. I will see you in my next video. Bye everyone.